Well, it looks like Harvey has found himself in some trouble again.
For everything I'm telling you, that's why I can say them so freely.
Kid, I need another one. You here? Get you another one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, did you ever get an apology?
Never got an apology from Steve. He never said anything. My thing is I wrote new jokes.
It started with whispers, but now it's a storm. Steve Harvey's ex-friends are finally exposing what they claim is the real man behind the laughter, and the image he spent decades building may be crumbling before the world's eyes. For years, Harvey positioned himself as the voice of faith, family, and hustle, the motivational father figure of daytime television, but the stories now surfacing from people who once stood beside him paint a picture far darker than anyone imagined. Before we dive into the receipts, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, because what we're about to uncover isn't the glossy version you see on Family Feud or his talk show. It's the side that powerful people in Hollywood whisper about, but never say out loud.
You're saying his business ethics are like really solid, like he's treating you guys like
He treats us like golden. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
It all reignited in January 2024 when veteran comedian Mark Curry calmly but deliberately told TMZ that after 16 years, Steve Harvey still hadn't apologized for stealing his jokes. He wasn't ranting, he wasn't bitter, he was matter-of-fact, and that made it even more chilling. Curry's Halloween bit from 1999 was personal, pulled straight from his own life. Years later, Harvey used the same concept on Little Big Shots as if it were his original creation. To casual viewers, it was just another skit, but to comedians who'd been in the clubs, it was déjà vu. Curry said, "He can have it," but the shrug carried weight. He'd moved on, yet the wound never healed. In comedy, stealing a joke isn't small, it's identity theft. It's like taking a piece of someone's voice. The irony, Harvey's empire, books, shows, sermons, was built on authenticity. And now the man who preached integrity is being accused of betraying the very code that built him.
He took my Winton. Took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he said.
Are you kidding me?
He said that he confronted you about it before, and then even after
And he
that,
still ain't saying what.
Then came Katt Williams, the unfiltered truth teller who doesn't do polite silence. On Club Shay, Williams turned long, simmering whispers into wildfire. He accused Harvey not just of joke theft, but of stealing an entire persona. The same Steve that went to watch Mark Curry do his sitcom, then stole everything Mark Curry had, Williams said. Audiences instantly connected the dots. Curry played a high school coach turned principal on Hanging with Mr. Cooper from 1992 to 1997. Then, magically, Harvey launched The Steve Harvey Show, playing a high school principal wearing the same conservative suits, preaching similar moral lessons. Coincidence? Maybe once. But side-by-side clips flooded social media, showing uncanny parallels. Fans started asking, was Steve Harvey's entire TV persona borrowed from someone else?
In 2005 to 2008, right in there, Katt, we were looking at Katt like, wow.
He's so good.
And that question started unraveling everything. Williams didn't stop there. He said Harvey tried to be everything: comedian, actor, preacher, mogul, but couldn't truly succeed in film because, in Williams' words, he wasn't talented enough. That line hit like a slap. Hollywood insiders had whispered for years that Harvey's movie ambitions failed, so he turned to TV domination instead. And when he couldn't outcreate, he allegedly outcopied. Curry later said it wasn't envy for money, it was envy for identity. "You want to be me," he told interviewer Willie D. That quote went viral overnight, the internet turning it into a meme. Suddenly, the world saw Harvey's success through a new lens, not as earned brilliance, but as imitation dressed in charisma.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Well, Steve's learning that the hard way tonight. Steve's ex-wife, Mary Harvey, is angry, and she's going...
He's a man with the power. He's in 60 markets. He's written these books. You know, he's socially connected with the programs and Disney and all these types.
Say that Steve Harvey was in a perfect position to help me get Clemson. I wouldn't have to go through what I went through, but God.
As the fire grew, Harvey tried brushing it off, telling reporters Curry needed to grow up, but the timeline betrayed him. He claimed he hadn't been on stage since 2015, yet the stolen material appeared on his 2015 show. Fans could do the math. The defense didn't hold. Instead of killing the story, it fed it. Then Gary Owen, another comic who once admired Harvey, quietly backed up the pattern. He revealed on his podcast that his 2-year stint on the Steve Harvey show barely paid SAG minimum, while Harvey's empire soared into 9 figures. Owen recalled being crammed into a closet-sized dressing room while influencers got suites and catered meals. He didn't call Harvey cruel, but the contrast was clear. The man preaching generosity and hard work seemed to reserve comfort for himself alone. That image cracked further when the infamous 2017 memo resurfaced, the one where Harvey told his own staff not to approach him in hallways, not to speak unless invited. "Do not ambush me," it read. To fans, it sounded heartless. To insiders, it was nothing new. They said Harvey's empire runs like a kingdom, strict access, absolute control. That memo became a metaphor for his brand, motivational on camera, cold behind the curtain. And as comedians compared notes, a pattern took shape. Harvey isolates, dominates, then rebrands.
It's like haters. When you get haters, you know, people's opinion of you is none of your business. I have lots of, I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this, he think he this. You don't even know.
But professional scandals were only half the story. His personal life mirrored the same contradictions. His second wife, Mary Lee Harvey, once tearfully accused him of leaving her homeless after their 2005 divorce. Court documents proved she received property and support, but perception is power, and the image of a crying ex-wife accusing the family man of betrayal stuck. Then there's his current wife, Marjorie, whose past links to men convicted in substance trafficking have followed her for years. Though she was never charged, the association shadowed Harvey's clean persona. It's not just about who he married, it's about the pattern: image management, reinvention, and silence whenever things get uncomfortable. The cracks widened when Katt Williams and Bernie Mac's friends connected new dots. Back during the original Kings of Comedy era, Harvey, Mac, Cedric, and D.L. Hughley were marketed as brothers. But behind closed doors, the brotherhood allegedly died fast. According to Ed Lover and even Bernie's daughter Janice McCullough, Bernie confided that Harvey tried to undercut him for the Ocean's 11 role by offering to take a lower paycheck, essentially trying to replace him. Bernie never publicly exposed it, but GQ interview hints from 2003 now feel prophetic. Harvey denied everything, but insiders remember the tension. Bernie Mac passed in 2008, his reputation pure, while Harvey's empire expanded uncontested. Now, hearing Katt Williams say Harvey tried to erase, Bernie feels less like gossip and more like unfinished justice. And that's what makes this scandal different. It's not one accusation, it's decades of people aligning their stories. Curry, Williams, Owen, Bernie's circle, even ex-wives, they're all describing the same man. One who preaches brotherhood but practices isolation, one who sells redemption but avoids accountability. The public started stitching their claims into a single narrative. TikTok timelines now trace Harvey's rise like a map of other people's pain. From stolen jokes to low pay, from controlling memos to emotional damage, every line loops back to the same pattern: control the spotlight, silence the opposition, and rebrand faster than the backlash. Harvey's defenders say this is jealousy, that he's a hustler who earned everything. But can hustle excuse exploitation? Even his motivational speeches ring differently now. Those viral clips where he shouts about faith and haters, viewers once found them inspiring. Now they feel like deflection. When he tells crowds, "You don't have to address your haters," it sounds less like wisdom and more like strategy. Ignore the truth until it fades. Yet this time, it isn't fading, it's multiplying. The social media era keeps receipts alive. Meanwhile, Curry's career has revived through his Dark Matter tour with Katt Williams. What was once pain has turned into profit. Fans now see them not just as comedians, but as survivors of a rigged system. Curry said in one interview that Harvey's behavior was never about money, it was about envy, about wanting to absorb someone else's essence. "You want to be me," he repeated, and the internet turned that into the new punchline. But behind the humor lies tragedy. How many voices did Harvey drown to build his empire? And then there's the question of legacy. Harvey's books Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man preach about love, faith, and character. But his ex-wives' testimonies turn those morals inside out. Mary Lee Harvey claimed infidelity. Others whispered Marjorie overlapped timelines. None of it has been proven beyond speculation, but when multiple relationships end in betrayal narratives, people start believing the pattern. Each new wife arrived as a public rebrand, each scandal followed by a sermon, each downfall followed by a new platform. It's almost cinematic. the reinvention cycle of a man desperate to stay beloved. Even his colleagues felt that control. Gary Owen described pitching comedy ideas for Harvey's show only to be told, "We'll handle the sketches." Translation, "Your creativity stays mine." Multiple staffers said producers would smile in your face, then rewrite your work with Harvey's name on it by morning. That's not mentorship, that's erasure. And that's the quiet engine behind many Hollywood empires. Invisible labor turned into one man's legend. As more insiders talk, fans are realizing Harvey's clean-cut persona may have been his greatest performance. The leaked memo, the cold behavior, the selective generosity, they all fit into the same cinematic arc. The man who built an empire on control and presentation. He's the hero, the victim, and the preacher, all roles written by himself. But the audience is waking up, and in this act, his friends are no longer extras, they're witnesses. So where does this leave Steve Harvey? The same way every Hollywood myth ends, balanced between illusion and exposure. His ex-friends are naming names, his past rivals are finding new audiences, and the internet is putting the puzzle together piece by piece. The phrase trending under every clip says it best: his image was fake. Maybe not his talent, not his hustle, but the flawless image of the humble, righteous king of comedy, that might have been the biggest performance of them all. Because when a man tells millions to ignore the haters, but every hater turns out to have receipts, the line between protection and guilt starts to blur. Maybe Steve Harvey isn't panicking because of the accusations. Maybe he's panicking because, for the first time, the people he silenced are speaking louder than his spotlight. And that's the tragedy behind the laughter. A legacy built on the backs of those who thought they were standing beside him. Now, as the dust settles and the noise fades, one question still hangs heavy in the air. Who is the real Steve Harvey when the cameras stop rolling? The public sees the charming smile, the sharp suits, the sermons about faith and forgiveness, but those who once stood beside him describe something colder, sharper, and far more calculated. Maybe his rise wasn't pure malice, but survival, an instinct to stay relevant in an industry that forgets you the moment you slip. Yet, somewhere between ambition and ego, Harvey may have crossed the line from inspired to entitled. Every story from his ex-friends, Mark Curry, Katt Williams, Gary Owen, and the echoes of Bernie Mac's memory paints a man who couldn't stand being second, who needed to own not just the stage, but the people who built it. If these allegations are true, the real punchline is bitter, that the king of clean comedy built his throne on other men's sweat. But if there's one thing Hollywood teaches us, it's that the truth always resurfaces, cracked, smoky, and cinematic. And when the spotlight turns harsh, even the biggest smile can't hide the truth forever. Because in the end, his friends didn't destroy him, his image did.